a second episode of the week, episode 5 of the No Blue Line Show. I want to thank you guys for coming back. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the No Blue Line Show. I am your man of the hour, man of the 35 minutes, man of the however how long this episode ends up being, Braden Durnell. And what we're gonna do today is preview ECRHA All-Star Weekend. One of the, I'd say probably the second biggest weekend of the ECRHA throughout the year, following the regional championship. And we're going to do a little bit of Nationals talk, not too much. I'll talk to you guys about that when we get there. We're going to look at each division standings, look at the clinching scenarios for each division, and kind of preview the games for this weekend, how we think they're going to play out. And we're also going to do some predictions for some awards. Yeah, that's right. We're going to predict what I think or who I think will be picked as not only finalists for each award from the semifinalist list, but as well who I think is going to win the awards regionals weekend for each award that is up for grabs. Player of the year, rookie of the year, goaltender of the year each year. And, look forward into that. We're going to start the show. Like I said, we're going to talk about this weekend, All-Star Weekend, how we think the games are going to play out. Talk about Nationals. They finalize the amount of teams in each division they're going to get invited. Talk about regionals. We all know how many teams are getting in for each of those. And talk about the standings. So let's get into it, man. So, All-Star Weekend. All-Star Weekend is like I said, I feel like a broken record, but All-Star Weekend, probably the second biggest weekend in the ECRHA behind regionals, and some big games to talk about. We're going to go through, talk about games that stand out to me, not only in the standings, but as far as placeholders and kind of measuring stick games. And the first game we're talking about is in Division 1, Friday night, Farmingdale playing at home against Newman. First time these two teams are meeting after the Kraft transfer. Farmingdale sitting in first, Newman sitting in second. Don't think this is going to be the last time you see these two teams play this year, I'll tell you that much. But basically, I see Farmingdale coming out of this one with the win. They're playing at home. Farmingdale at home usually gets a decent crowd out there. Long Island faithful supporting the Rams. I think they're going to get the win. Newman's playing well, though, so I wouldn't, don't be surprised if this game turns out a little close, But, my prediction is Farmingdale gets the win. But, anything can happen on any given day. Another big game Friday night, Oswego and Boston. Oswego is fighting to get into regionals. They had a big weekend a couple weeks ago. And, something I forgot to mention in the recap of the past weekends, Oswego actually played some inter-regional games. They went to Apex, North Carolina last weekend while the ECRHA was in New Jersey. And they played East Carolina, which is the number one team in the Southeast. And they also played Virginia Tech. They ended up beating Virginia Tech, but they lost to East Carolina. I believe the score was 6-2, 6-4. I don't have it in front of me. I'm not going to take the time to look. But they played well. Is my point. East Carolina is a very good team. Virginia Tech also a good team. Oswego needs some help to get into regionals. Needs a decent amount of help, actually. But, you guys know I'm all part of the Lake Show. I roll with the Lake Show. I have since last year, and I believe in these guys. Their first game's up against Boston. Should be a win for them, but they can't take Boston lightly. And I think these guys know what it's going to take. It's going to take a big weekend for them in Long Island to get into regionals, but I think they're worth the watch, even their game against Boston. But I think Oswego wins this game. Boston just isn't there competitively this year. The one kind of wrench you might throw into this situation, though, is that Boston knows this is their last weekend of the year potentially. They're not going to get into regionals. There's a long shot they could get into nationals, but there are 11 teams left out in Division II for nationals. There's 31 teams in Division II this year, 20 of them getting bids for nationals. So every win that Boston gets is huge, but I'm not going to say it's out of the question for BU to get invited, but it's looking a little bit slow for them. So, but that's a wrench you could throw in. If they still believe they can make it, then that's what they're going to do. And it's all about player mentality there, man. I mean, it's all about what kind of players you have there. I don't know any of the Boston guys personally, so I can't really speak on their mindsets going into the game, but you always want to have that positive mindset going in. That's for sure. That's pretty much it for the games on Friday in Long Island. Games on Saturday that interest me a little bit is starting off early in the morning, Division II again, RIT and Hofstra. RIT fighting for that bye, fighting for that second place in the standings. Hofstra fighting to stay in the mix, solidify their time at regionals. I don't believe they're locked in yet. Let me look at the standings real quick. Hofstra actually, excuse me. I'm sorry. I guess I'm out of the loop, or I haven't been paying much attention. But Hofstra's actually out of regionals at the time. Top 6 make regionals in Division II. Right now, Hofstra is sitting at 8th place, but they've got 2 games. They've got 4 points on the table, which, if the cards shuffle right, they're not mathematically out of it yet, but they have lost 4 straight going into this weekend. So this is a big game. I mean, RIT not out of the picture for a first round bye, and Hofstra not out of the picture to make regionals. So it's going to be an interesting one, to say the least. And I have lost my tab with the notes on it. Okay, we got it back. Okay, so Saturday, we talked about RIT Hofstra, going through the schedule, and what pops out next? Oh, boy, we have lost our notes. Okay, here we go. Division 1. 2 teams. 1 spot. That's what's left to play for in Division 1. I mean, really, you've got 4 teams for 1 spot, but 2 realistic teams. 4 teams for 2 spots, but these 2 teams probably going to be the teams that are fighting for that last spot in Division 1, and that's UMass and Cortland. UMass started off hot in the spring at the interregional, got a couple big wins under their belt. They've lost 2 in a row heading into this weekend Long Island, but guess what? So has Cortland. They're both tied at 15 right now, UMass with the tiebreaker, but Cortland's got that game in hand, and this might be the game that decides it right here. If UMass wins this game against Cortland, I wouldn't say it staples them into regionals, but it gives them that push that they might need. Gives them that little extra cushion for the rest of the weekend. These 2 teams are definitely going to be watching each other's games. They're definitely going to be paying close attention to each other, that's for sure. But prediction on this, man, this is tough because both these teams have kind of slowed down as of late. But I really like UMass. I didn't like them as much early in the spring or early in the year, but I really like them as I've seen how they've progressed as a team and meshed as a team. So I'll take UMass in this one. Probably going to be a close game, though. It's going to be an exciting one to watch. Next spotlight game, basically to do with the Division II bubble, which is big, and I'm not just hammering on Oswego or hammering on the Lake Show or talking about Oswego. Talk about your favorite team that you're a fanboy over. None of that. But I'm interested in the race for that last spot, man. I mean, Oswego is a good team. if there's an opportunity for more teams, I know the ECRHA would have it, but time constraints don't allow that because they have so much competitiveness in Division 2. And at 10 o'clock on Saturday in Long Island, Oswego gets a chance to, maybe even knock Northeastern out of a top 2 spot and out of a bye, and as well as push themselves into regionals, and they play each other in D2. Do I think Oswego wins this? No. Do I think it stays close? Depends on the goaltending of Oswego. Depends on Mikey Boyd. Also depends on what Northeastern team kind of shows up. I mean, they lost RIT a couple weeks ago, and they're coming in, finishing out the season here in Long Island. I think Northeastern wins this game. I think it's close. I think Northeastern controls it, though. I think the score will be close, but I think Northeastern controls the game for the most part. And then looking ahead there, big game. It's not necessarily a big game in the standings, because of my prediction, but Slippery Rock and Newman play Saturday afternoon. Newman in second right now in the Division 1 standings. Slippery Rock sitting at, where do I have my standings at? There are way too many tabs doing a show for 4 different divisions. Slippery Rock is in 4th of the standings, Newman in 2nd. Slippery Rock 9 points back, so this isn't really a jockey for position as much as it's a jockey for, valuable wins throughout the year. Newman only has 1 loss in regulation, and I think that well, I wouldn't say that continues because I think they lose to Farmingdale, but I think Newman wins this game. All bullshit aside, Newman wins this game. I don't think Slippery Rock can hang. I think Slippery Rock's goaltending is an issue playing against a team like Newman, team with a bunch of goal scorers like Strophe, like DeSalvo. I think Newman wins this game. I think it's a fun game to watch, though. These are 2 fast teams, 2 teams that can put goals on the board. So that's not something that I would look past. Looking ahead of that, you got Stony Brook and RIT. Division 2 is a logjam, as I've said plenty of times. RIT still fighting for that bye. Stony Brook still has a chance at the bye, all depending on how things play out. And Stony Brook's playing well. RIT's playing well. Can Stony Brook slow down RIT's goal scoring? I mean, RIT scored 91 goals heading into the weekend. They also have the leading goal scorer on the season, Kyle Lewandowski, top point scorer right now for Division 2. Do I think Stony Brook and Buckley can hold off RIT? You could have asked me all year, and I would have thought, yep, Stony Brook's winning this game 100%. But, man, RIT's just been looking good. I'm picking RIT in this one. I think they stay hot, and I think that they're just too much firepower for Stony Brook. But, like I said, man, these games are all so damn close. It's hard to really put your finger on it. Slippery Rock, Westchester, not a game we're going to get deep into prediction-wise. I think Westchester wins it. But, Slippery Rock catches hot, which is something they need to do. Because they're getting some losses, man. I mean, Slippery Rock is getting some losses against these good teams, and you want to be able to beat the good teams. I mean, Slippery Rock got a win against, I think it was Newman in the fall. But you want to beat these teams in the spring because the way that a team changes throughout the year is incredible. I mean, it's incredible the transition of teams throughout the year. And this game right here, I mean, it's not doing much for the standings, Slippery Rock and Westchester, but it's big for the mindsets of the teams going forward. That is for sure. Next up for big games, every game's so important. It's hard for me to just pick a few to run through. I mean, this could easily be a 2-hour episode, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to bore you guys sitting through it. Every game is so important coming through. But as we go through the list, I mean, you've got UMass and Slippery Rock again playing on Sunday. I mean, all these games are just so good. I think Slippery Rock does beat UMass. I think they're just a little bit, they've got a step ahead of UMass right now. Division 1, I mean, you've got Robert Morris playing Newman. In Division 1, in Nationals, all teams are getting invited in Division 1. So all these games are important for these guys. Getting their fundraisers in order and getting their ducks in a row is in order, because anything can happen once you get to Fargo. I'll tell you that right now. Anything can happen. I mean, you don't know who's going to make it, who's going to be hot, who's going to have those travel legs. It's big travel for everyone. It's not like this weekend in Long Island where it's in Farmingdale's backyard. It's not in Fargo, North Dakota. Isn't in anyone's backyard. I think we all know that. Players, coaches, staff members, fans, Fargo, man. Still just crazy that we're going to Fargo in April. But, Robert Morris and Newman. Newman wins this game. Not really much of a prediction per se. Newman just outclasses Robert Morris right now, but Robert Morris, if they want that opportunity in April, they're going to have to learn how to keep Newman in check and teams like Newman in check. Yeshiva RIT noon. This game right here could be the game that decides that bye in Division 2. And I'll tell you right now, I want to pick RIT because of just how great they've been in the spring, but Yeshiva really impressed me with that 9-3 win over Penn State last weekend, and they've been there before. They've got experience. Donnie Fuchs, Ari Drazen. I got to go with Yeshiva, man. I think Yeshiva is going to sneak into and get that bye, get that 2 seed. And I think RIT ends up coming at the 3 seed, Penn State the 4 seed, man. It's crazy how competitive Division 2 is. We're going to get into looking at the standings in total. But I didn't really touch on D4 or D3 in these kind of game spotlights. I mean, you've got pretty much every team in action in Division 3 and Division 4. Division 3, as you guys know, I've talked about, is Farmingdale's division. Farmingdale's division to lose. Farmingdale Green, that is. They're just they're an incredible team. They're playing for nationals. I think it's national championship or bust for them. Coming in second last year, they won a championship this year. But Division 4, I mean, big game in Division 4 as far as seeding wise. You got St. Joseph's and Hofstra last game for each team of the year. They play 2:00 on Sunday, and St. Joseph's actually. Well, St. Joseph's got three games, maybe 4 games on the weekend as I'm scrolling through my notes. So that game's going to be huge. Millersville, Farmingdale, I think Millersville gets that win. Millersville should, to me, Millersville should remain in first, but it's really that battle between St. Joseph's and Hofstra for that second spot, and that game's going to decide it right there. The 2:00 game, I mean, that's what's going to decide Division 4. But let's go through the standings, man. I mean, I've talked about how close all these standings are, and it's just crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I don't want to say that this is the most competitive year of recent memory, but it's pretty damn close. I mean, pretty damn close. The East looks good. Division 1 as standings right now. In Division 1, you've got 6 teams going to regionals, and the standings right now are as follows. Farmingdale, undefeated, 14-0, 1 seed. They've already clinched. They've clinched a regional spot, 28 points, 144 goals for, 23 against. Cream of the crop right there is Farmingdale. Right now, you've got Newman in second. They've also clinched. Right now, let's see, clinching scenarios, where I have it in my notes. Clinching scenario is that the amount of points you need to clinch is 18. Sorry, I have so many notes. I've still got my notes from the preview show, and it's just crazy. But 18 points, what you need to clinch a spot right now. Farmingdale, Newman, and Westchester have all clinched. Right now, it's in that order. Farmingdale 1, Newman 2, Westchester 3. That can change this weekend. None of these teams are solidified in those positions, but they've all clinched. They're going to regionals. They're basically playing for momentum, playing for that seeding this weekend. After that, teams that haven't clinched, you've got Slippery Rock coming in at 4, 17 points, 8-4-1. They've got the most games left to play. They've only played 13 games this year, so they can move a lot. I mean, there's 10 points on the table. They can move a lot up or down, because if they don't win, they're giving away points. I mean, yeah, okay, idiot. Thanks a lot for that. But 5 points on the table for Slippery Rock. They're sitting in the 4 seed right now. UMass at the 5 seed. They're 7-7-1, sitting right there on even. 15 points for them at the 5 seed. They're tied with Cortland. Cortland has a game in hand on them, however. We talked about that game, how that's going to determine seeding, that single game right there. Cortland in the 6 seed right now, 7-6-1. And Cortland's issue 100% has to be their defense and their goaltending. They've given up 90 goals so far on the season, which is, about 20 goals more than the next team right now in the regionals picture. So if they can figure out how to stop teams, which, it's getting down to the nitty-gritty. HQ trivia fans will appreciate that one. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty for Cortland to figure out what's going on defensively. And if any time is the time to do it, it's right now, because they've got Rowan, who has gotten hot here in the spring. Rowan's still at 5-8, but they're only 3 points behind Cortland. 6 points left on the table, and it's still a mashup there, man. One of these teams between the teams of Slippery Rock, who is 1 win away from clinching, and then, even if you take Slippery Rock out of the picture because you assume that they'll get 1 win out of their 5 games. If you look at UMass, Cortland, and Rowan, it's anybody's ball game, man. You got 3 teams battling for 2 spots. Someone's getting left out. I think the standings are going to stay. I think Rowan is just that much lower than UMass and Cortland, but Rowan's playing really damn well this spring. So, it's possible, man. It really is possible. Rowan, let's look at Rowan's schedule. Where do I have it here? Rowan's schedule, who do they play? Rowan's playing Slippery Rock, Robert Morris, and Farmingdale. Big tasks for Rowan, but so far this spring, let's see, what is Rowan so far this spring? They are, in the regular season, they're 3-1. Beat Cortland, beat Rhode Island, lost to Westchester in overtime, and beat Temple. Rowan's a team that can beat Slippery Rock. Rowan's a team that can definitely beat Robert Morris. They lost to them by 1 and beat them by 1 in preseason. They're not beating Farmingdale, in my opinion. Sorry, Rowan. I just don't think you're there. But they can beat Slippery Rock. They can beat Robert Morris, man. So, Rowan's there, man. Rowan is there. But let's slide over to Division 2. Division 2 standings is where it gets crazy in Division 2. So, right now in Division 2, you have 2 different types of log jams. You've got some log jams fighting for those top 2 seeds, those first round buys. Right now, who do you have clinched in Division 2? Well, you've got Northeastern. They're clinched for regionals. 27 points. They're 13-1-1. Only regulation loss coming to RIT. Only overtime loss coming to Stony Brook. They're clinched in. They're going to regionals. Second year in a row defending regional champions. They're clinched. Penn State, 13-4-1. Their regular season is finished. 27 points. They're finished. They have to hope for some losses if they want to get that first round bye. I think they'll probably get passed up. And that's not a knock on Penn State. I've become infamous for knocking Penn State. Hell, I've got guys tweeting me. I don't remember. I'm sorry. Yeshiva. It was Yeshiva. I've got guys tweeting me from not Penn State talking to me about how I'm bashing these guys. And that's not a knock on them. I just think RIT's got 3 games to play and Yeshiva's got 2. And Yeshiva's got to win 1 game to pass them, and RIT has to win 2 games to pass them out of 3, and both of those teams are very fucking good. So I just think that Penn State's going to get passed. It's just how I think it's going to happen. I think Penn State, as of now, if you look at their possible matchups for regionals, I think Penn State can get to the final. I think Penn State can get to the regional final, but I think it's really going to help them if it's all about matchups for them, man. I mean, there's just haven't matched up well against Yeshiva the past 2 years. This is a totally different Penn State team from last year. I get that. But, sorry, I digress. Let's talk about who haven't clinched yet. Stony Brook hasn't clinched. They're sitting at 10-4, 20 points. Their magic number is 1. They need a win to clinch. Oswego, see, if you're looking at the standings right now, Oswego has been given credit in the standings for their win against Virginia Tech in the standings. That'll be fixed. Oswego is 8-7 with 15 games played. Yeah, 8-6 with 14 games played. I'm sorry, it's really throwing me off. I have to look at their schedule. They've got 16 points. Endicott right now has the 6th spot. Endicott at 8-5-2 has the 6th spot. Oswego a game behind them. And then you've got Hofstra, who is at 7-7-2, also fighting for that spot. And I'll tell you, I looked at the schedules after Sewell concluded. I looked at the schedules for these teams, and I think Endicott is going to get in. I think Oswego and Hofstra are going to be odd teams out. I think Stony Brook and Endicott are the teams that get in. The reason I say that is because they've got that game in hand over Hofstra, and I don't know. It's more of a gut feeling, to be honest with you guys. I mean, I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not going to say that it's because I think they're better. I don't necessarily think that they are better than Oswego, but I think Endicott ends up making it to regionals. But Lakers, don't hold me to that, because I think you guys don't have to worry about your invitation to nationals. So get that GoFundMe going. Get those tweets out there. You got one of the best Twitters in the league. Get those tweets going. Get some funding, because I think you're going to North Dakota. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay, you're headed to North Dakota. Congratulations. Just saying. But I think Endicott gets in. And, I mean, that's that, man. I mean, let's go to Division 3. I mean, Division 2, way competitive. Division 3, Farmingdale, man. They have 14 fucking goals against, man. My head hurts thinking about that. They give up a goal a game. 1 goal a game. It's just crazy. But, I mean, the teams that have a lot to play for here are Farmingdale Black and Rowan. They're 1 point apart, and Cortland as well. Cortland and Rowan are tied. Rowan has a tiebreaker there. But it all comes down to who wins those games against one another at Long Island. How do I see it playing out? I see Cortland passing Rowan in the standings. I see it finishing Farmingdale Green in first, Farmingdale Black in second, Cortland, then Rowan. Right now, Cortland and Rowan are switched. Rowan 3, Cortland 4. I think Slippery Rock stays at 5, and I think Northeastern stays at 6. Temple's just not there. Division 3, you have 26 teams in the nation, and you have 12 of them getting into nationals. So 14 teams nationally getting left out. So you assume Farmingdale Green's getting a bid. Really, you're playing. If you can beat Farmingdale Green, you deserve a bid, in my opinion. But you're playing, in my opinion, you're playing for second place in Division 3. And that's not a knock, man. Farmingdale Green is a different animal. But, I feel bad, get kind of brushing D3 aside. D3 guys, I'm not telling you guys I don't give a shit. I'm telling you guys that you got to play your best game to beat that Farmingdale team. Division 4 has gotten super competitive between 3 teams here. Millersville, Hofstra, St. Joseph's, and even Baruch. I mean, Baruch has 2 more games played than St. Joe's, so they're tied with them, but St. Joe's has those 2 games in hand. But Hofstra is just won 5 games in a row out of nowhere. I mean, they started 1-2, which they only have 8 games played. D4 plays less games than everyone else. They don't play a full 18-game schedule. But Hofstra has just turned a switch. I mean, just turned an incredible switch. So, I mean, I think D4 pretty much stays the way that it is. I mean, I could see Vermont possibly passing up Baruch. They've got 2 games in hand on Baruch. Cornell, I kind of think they stay there just based on their schedule against everyone else. And Niagara pretty much stays there as well. And Farmingdale and Stony Brook, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Good season, guys. No offense. Thanks for coming. Good season. And so we're going to get into, something I haven't really gotten into before, haven't really talked about. But let me get the right page up here, man. I am so fucking unorganized today. It is unbelievable. But we're going to talk about awards predictions. Awards predictions, man. We're going to start at the top. I haven't predicted awards before. That's just how it is. This isn't the fucking Oscars. This is me giving you my uneducated opinion on who I think deserves these awards. I have you guys know I do work with the ECRHA. I have no say in these awards. These are not anything to go by. ECRHA hasn't put anything in my ear. I know nothing about who the favorites for finalists are. This is just straight up predictions. I tweeted out I wanted some ideas to throw into the podcast other than some game stuff. And, I got a suggestion from Stony Brook, said, hey, preview the awards. And I thought, fuck, that's a great idea. So that's what we're going to do. Division I Player of the Year. You got 5 nominees for semifinalists. Those finalists will be narrowed down excuse me. Those finalists will be narrowed down here shortly in the next coming days. I'm hoping that they don't get finalists listed before this podcast goes up. Please, Bill Bork, Kevin Murphy, please don't name the finalists until after this weekend. But Division I Player of the Year, Jake Corso. Man, this man, little brother of Luke Corso, Farmingdale player. I believe he's second in points. Yeah, second in points behind Tyler Kraft, 2 points behind him. He's got 59 points, 35 goals for, 24 goals for. What a idiot. 35 goals, 24 assists. The man is on a tear. He's got 6 game winners. All right, man. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I just made a huge edit. And the fact of the matter is that I'm not going to lie to you. I have 10 windows of all these different fucking tabs open, and I didn't know what tab I needed to look at the pages that I pulled up for everyone's stats and the nominees. That's just, I'm honest with you guys. That's the fact of the matter. But we're back. Division I Player of the Year, semifinalists, Jake Corso from Farmingdale. Corso's 35 goals, 24 assists, 59 points, 6 game winners. With the rookies on a tear. You got Michael Strophe from Newman, also 59 points. He's got 25 goals, 34 assists, 7 power play goals. The man plays up front on the power play, and he's damn good at it. I'll tell you that much. You've also got Derek Hoffman from Westchester. You guys know I'm a big fan of Derek's. He's got 47 points right now, 20 goals, 27 assists, 2 game winners, 4 power play goals. Dan Nelson from Cortland. I like to call Cortland the Dan Nelson Show because, he's just incredible. If Dan Nelson could be on any team and probably be up there for their top point scorer. He's got 47 points, 22 goals, 25 assists. You've also got Donald Broad from UMass, 18 goals, 16 assists, 7 power play goals again for him. And like I said, my predictions here have no affiliation with the league, their finalists, or their winners or anything like that. But my prediction here, based on the nominees, I think it's a damn crime that you don't have Tyler Kraft on the semifinalist list. The man's one of the best players in the world, and he's not getting nominated for Player of the Year in Division I, okay? But, I think Corso deserves it, man. The guy's not only a rookie, but he's putting up 59 points in his rookie year as a freshman. Get the fuck out of here, man. It's incredible. I mean, some of the competition, this really could be anyone's game. But I think Corso gets the win in that category. And then I'm not going to really go too far for my next prediction, but you've got Rookie of the Year. Your nominees there. You got Jake Corso from Farmingdale, Max Halverson from Farmingdale, Cameron Zan of Robert Morris, and J.D. Gazella from Slippery Rock. I'm a big J.D. Gazella fan, but I think the competition's too stiff for him. Zan, I think if he would have led Robert Morris Dan Trunk-esque and gotten them into regionals, I think he would have a stronger case for Rookie of the Year. I don't think he's there. So it really, for me, comes down to the Farmingdale guys, and I think it's only logical to me that if I'm giving Corso Player of the Year, he would also get Rookie of the Year. But I think Corso's winning this. I think Halverson's got a chance, but, you don't know until you know, and Corso is the guy. And then you've got the Division I Goaltender of the Year, which I think is an absolute crapshoot. I mean, you got 3 nominees there. You got Farmingdale's goaltender, Dustin Musio Shrimp. His stats so far this year, he's 16-1 in total. That's including the interregional. 300 shots against, 30 goals against, 270 saves. He's posting a 1.72 goals against average, an even 90 save percentage, and he's got 3 shutouts on the year. I mean, how do you argue with stats like that? Adam Gaggio, who's played 18 games so far this year with a 12-6 record. He's made 376 saves out of 432 shots, 56 goals against for a 3.27, an 87 save percentage. And then you've got my man John Whitman. He's got 13 games played with a 9-4 record, 31 goals against, a 2.35 goals against, a 91 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. The big standout thing here, I think, is that Gaggio, I mean, he's won Newman games, some of their closer games. He doesn't have any shutouts so far this year. His save percentage is a little bit lower than Whitman and Musio Shrimps. Granted, Dustin has faced significantly less shots. Gaggio has faced the most shots. But I don't think Gaggio's taken this one. I think this is a reward between Whitman and Musio Shrimp. And, Whitman's saving a higher percentage, but he's also seeing more volume. I think Whitman wins this, actually. And that's not just because I don't want it to be the Farmingdale show on the awards. I think Whitman, I love Whitman as a goaltender. He's a big guy. He can cover the entire net. I mean, he goes down. He's a big guy. You face big goaltenders and you think, oh, we just got to get him to move. Whitman can fucking move, man. And I think he's making the saves he needs to make. He keeps Westchester in some games and he wins them games. So I think Whitman takes Goalie of the Year in Division I. Next award we got coming up, Division II Player of the Year. You got 5 nominees for that. Your nominees for semifinalists go as follows. You got Jack Tafalos of Oswego. Tafalos right now, what tab is he? Tafalos right now this year, 30 goals, 8 assists, totaling 38 points, 5 on the power play, 4 game winners. Keeps it low with 8 penalty minutes. Going down the list here for Division II Player of the Year nominees. Next up, Kyle Lewandowski from RIT. He's got 30 goals, 14 assists, 44 points, 6 of those goals on the power play, 3 game winners. And he has 4 penalty minutes. Next up, Colin Ewald from Hofstra. We got back-to-back former Division IV players. Kyle's actually a first-year player from Hofstra, but his team played Division IV previously. Anyways, he's got 25 goals, 19 assists for 44 points, 5 power play goals, a shorthanded goal, 4 game winners. He also gets a little bit pissed, 28 penalty minutes. I respect a guy with 28 penalty minutes, I'll tell you that much. Then you've got Trevor Kalea from Stony Brook. 19 goals, 17 assists, 36 points, 6 on the power play, 3 game winners, 18 penalty minutes. And your last nominee, last year's top point scorer, Corey Eisenband. 27 goals, 13 assists for 40 points, 7 of those on the power play, 1 shorty, 3 game winners, 18 penalty minutes. And, you know, as much as I talk about how close Division II is in the standings, I believe that their awards chase is similar. But I think I'm going to take Kyle Lewandowski in this one. And the reason I say that is because I think Oswego would still be a competitive team without Tafalos. I think Stony Brook would still be competitive without Kalea. Ewald makes Hofstra, pretty competitive, but I don't think it's necessarily there as far as player of the year. And, no offense to Corey, but, the way that I look at this award is this. Kyle Lewandowski, RIT is not the same team at all without him. And I think that is what makes him deserving for player of the year. It's not listed as MVP, as most valuable player. Player of the year, though, I view it in the same context. And that's why I give this one to Lewandowski. Next up, we got D2 Rookie of the Year. Some familiar names, similar to D1's, going through this list. First nominee, Colin Ewald. As I mentioned before, 25 goals, 19 assists, 44 points, 5 on the power play, 1 shorty, 4 game winners. Then we don't have Jack Tafalos here, but we've got Joe Tafalos, his younger brother. Joe rocking 14 goals, 25 assists for 39 points, 2 of those on the man advantage, 1 of those a man down. Then we've got Glenn Wild from Penn State, first-year player from Penn State with 11 goals, 15 assists, 26 points, 2 of those on the power play, a game winner, and 18 penalty minutes. You've got Glenn's teammate, Sean Miller, who's come out as a stud for Penn State. Glenn Miller, 20 years old, from Exton, Pennsylvania. He's got 24 goals, 13 assists, 37 points, 1 of those coming on the power play. 3 of those goals were game winners. And your last nominee for Rookie of the Year in Division II is Elias Horhaus. I'm sorry, Elias. I just totally guessed what your last name was. Sorry. It's how the cookie crumbles. Elias for Stony Brook, he's got 16 goals, 13 assists, 29 points, 6 on the power play, a game winner, and 14 penalty minutes. Who deserves Rookie of the Year? This is a tough one too, man. These awards, man, these are tough to pick. I don't know how the guys at the league fucking do this. Man, everyone's points are close. Ewald's nominated for Player of the Year, but some of these guys could be all of these guys could be nominated for Player of the Year, man. Shit, man. Rookie of the Year, Sean Miller. And the man, Sean Miller, getting Player of the Year. That's my I don't know, man. This is a tough one. This is an absolute tough one. Rookie of the Year, Division II. I'm giving it to Miller. I think Ewald's got a chance. I think your finalists end up being Tafalos, Ewald, and Miller. But, like I said, man, these predictions are just fucking random. It's just who I think. These have no value to them officially, but I thought it would be fun to do, and it's kind of stressing me out, to be honest. Division II Goalie of the Year. 4 nominees in Division II for Goalie of the Year. First goalie we got is Rory Buckley. Rory this year, let's see where it is. There it is. He's played 15 games. He's 10-5 at the time of this preview show. He's got a .311 goals against and an 89.7 save percentage with 2 shutouts, 48 total goals against. Our second nominee is from the current first place defending regional champions, Brendan Perlman. Brendan has a 10-1 record, 2.36 goals against, an 88.5 save percentage, and 1 shutout. Next up, Zach Orcutt. Orcutt playing his second year with the RIT Tigers, first year in Division II. He's got a 10-2 record, 261 shots against and 34 goals against for 2.93 goals against average and an even 87 save percentage. He also has 2 shutouts. And your final nominee for goaltender of the year is Joseph Robin from the Yeshiva Maccabees. He's 11-3 with a 3.49 goals against, an 86.5 save percentage. Doesn't have a shutout to his name. I believe, I don't have the tab up, but I believe that Perlman won this award last year. I'm not 100% on that, but I believe he did. He had very similar stats last year, but nothing. I think Perlman wins it again, man. I mean, Perlman's a stud. Not only is, Yeshiva's good, Northeastern's good front to back, but I think Perlman wins this one. The finalists that I believe, I think there's typically 2 finalists for this, and I think the finalists come down to Perlman and Buckley, but I think Perlman gets the nod for D2 Goalie of the Year. Division III Player of the Year. Our nominees there, after I find the right tab, are Bobby Letras of Farmingdale, James Colakathis of Farmingdale, Matthew Horcher from Cortland, and Jake Perlstein from Rowan. And this one's easy for me. Some of you might knock it because you know that I have Bobby on my Coast to Coast staff. Bobby does a great job for us over at Coast to Coast. But Bobby Letras is my winner for D3 Player of the Year. This man is in his final year of eligibility in the NCRHA, playing Farmingdale throughout his entire career. He helped found the program, and right now he is dominating in Division III. 42 goals, 26 assists for 68 points, 6 power play goals, 6 penalty minutes. 9 of his goals are game winners. He's got a game winner in over half of Farmingdale's games. Bobby Letras, my prediction for D3 Player of the Year. D3 Rookie of the Year. Let's see where we have that tab. Here we go. D3 Rookie of the Year. 5 nominees. Colin Tinshirt from Farmingdale, 20 goals, 33 assists, 2 power play goals, 2 game winners, 2 penalty minutes. Chris Byrne from Farmingdale. Chris has 18 goals, 16 assists, 34 points, a power play tally, a shorthanded tally, and 4 penalty minutes. You've got Christian Luke from Rowan, 12 goals, 9 assists, 21 points, a game winner, a power play goal, 2 penalty minutes. Nick Smith from SRU, Slippery Rock University. Nick in his first year from Pittsburgh. 14 goals, 6 assists for 20 points, 2 power play goals, 8 penalty minutes. And your last nominee for D3 Player of the Year, or Rookie of the Year, Griffin Bedker from Northeastern. 12 goals, 8 assists, 20 points, 1 power play goal, 1 game winner, and 4 penalty minutes. Who do I think is winning Rookie of the Year in Division III? I think that is Colin Tinshirt from Dix Hills, New York. As I mentioned, Colin has 53 points. He's a key component to Farmingdale Green. And 53 points in your first year, doesn't matter what division you're playing in, is absolutely no joke. No joke at all. Division 3 Goaltender of the Year. Let's see. Our nominees for Goalie of the Year in Division 3. You got 3 nominees. One of these guys will not be a finalist, I believe. But you've got Daniel Parapezco from Farmingdale, John Clark from Rowan, and Frank Worth from Farmingdale Black. And I think the winner of this is an obvious choice. I think he's going to win back-to-back Goaltenders of the Years. And here's some stats for Dan in Division 3 this year. 16 games played. That includes in a regional play. He's 16-0. 17 goals against. His goals against average is a 1.06. His save percentage is a 93.3, and he has 5 shutouts. Tell me where you've ever seen stats better than that, and the only answer you can give me is his stats last year. So, Dan Parapezco for your D3 goalie of the year. Then you've got your Division 4 player of the year, which, let's see, is Division 4 player of the year. Here we go. Four nominees here. First nominee, Daniel Glatman from the Baruch Bearcats. He's rocking an 11 goals, 5 assists, 16-point season. He's got a game-winning goal, no power play goals, no penalty minutes. Second nominee from Millersville, you've got Griffin Helm, 9 goals, 4 assists, 13 points, a power play goal, 2 game winners. Then you've got a fellow Baruch Bearcat. You've got Taylor Bellina. Taylor's got 10 goals and assists for 11 points, a game winner, 2 penalty minutes. And then you've got Tyler Bear from Millersville, 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points. Who is going to win? I just read the totally wrong nominees, and I look like an absolute schmuck. So my producer, who's myself, screwed up. Those are your nominees for D4 Rookie of the Year. And I'm giving it to Griffin Helm. That's who I'm giving it to. Griffin Helm from Millersville. Division 4 Player of the Year. Let's try to get the right fucking tab up. Division 4 Player of the Year. Here we go. 5 nominees. First nominee from Millersville, Thomas Fisher. Thomas Fisher, third year playing for Millersville. He's got 21 goals, 9 assists, 30 points, a power play goal, a game winner, 4 penalty minutes. Daniel Pike from Cornell, from Aurora, Illinois, playing for Cornell. He's got 21 goals, 6 assists for 27 points. Then you've got Brian Dunton from Millersville, 13 goals, 15 assists for 28 points, a game winner, 4 penalty minutes. After that, from St. Joseph's College in New York, Bobby Yavoli, my favorite name in the ECRHA, 16 goals, 11 assists, 27 points. And Peter Lambrou from Baruch, your final nominee for D4 Player of the Year. He's an even 12 goals, 12 assists, 24 points. Winner for D4 Player of the Year. We are going to give it to my favorite name and my favorite player in D4, Bobby Yavoli. Like I said, 27 points in 8 games for St. Joe's. He is the gear that turns for the St. Joe's Eagles, and that's my prediction for the D4 Player of the Year. And our final award prediction is the D4 Goaltender of the Year award. You got 3 nominees here. First nominee from Hofstra University is Sam Reynolds. Sam is right now got a 6-1 record between the pipes for Hofstra. He's got a 1.99 goals against and a 91.6 save percentage. Absolutely incredible stats. After that, you've got Joseph Tedesco. I believe Tedesco won last year's Goaltender of the Award in D4. He was at least a finalist. I remember that. Tedesco rocking 5-3 record, 2.4 goals against average, 89.4 save percentage, and 1 shutout on the year. And your final nominee for the Division 4 Goaltender of the Year award is Taylor Peltier. I'm going to say this with a little bit of a flair, inside term, a little bit of a flair. Taylor Peltier. Sounds like a great hockey name. But anyways, Taylor, he's got 4 games played. He's got a 3-1 record. He's got 2.25 goals against, an 87.1 save percentage. And our final prediction in our first prediction show for awards, Goaltender of the Year, Division 4, Sam Reynolds. My reason for this prediction is that without Sam Reynolds, Hofstra is not in second right now. Hofstra probably doesn't have a chance to win the Division 4 title, and because of Sam Reynolds, now they do. So there you go. Sam Reynolds, D4, goaltender of the year. That's it. We've done through everything that we wanted to go through. This has been episode 5 of the No Blue Line Show. Braden Durnell coming at you Friday, the day of the All-Star event in Old Bethpage. Good luck to all the teams attending. Good luck to all the teams not attending to hold your spot in the standings. Guess what, guys? We're less than a month from regionals. Less than 2 months from nationals. The grind never stops. Play your asses off, because this is where it matters. All-Star Weekend, Old Bethpage, New York. Skate safe. Home of the defending national champion Farmingdale Rams. This has been Braden Durnell on the No Blue Line Show. Thanks to Cartoon Ready 91 for the artwork. Thanks to everyone for the support. Leave some feedback in the comments below on the YouTube page. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so that we can make this podcast even better. And I am out of here.